Yes.
Sorry, in scenario 3, if she was being paid, would that be considered an invitee? And it's only because she's volunteering?
If she was being paid, then she wouldn't be either of them, right?
Okay.
Like she wouldn't be any of them, because she actually would be just like an employee or an independent contractor or any of those other things, right? So it's like from the perspective of the organization, are we benefiting, like in terms of somebody actually paying us, all right, to be there? Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Sure?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good way to look around it, and I hadn't thought about that. All right, so 4 elements of negligence, and we just discussed the first one. It took us a little bit, but that's actually one of the lengthier, if you will, that there is discussion on, because it's the one that you really have to kind of figure out this relationship, who do you do it to, that notion of foreseeability, the origins of it, all of those elements, all of those sub-elements within duty that we just kind of went over, right? So it's a lot within the first element of negligence, right? So now the next three are a little bit more, yes.
So where would an employee fall into, like, being able to sue the company for being negligent towards the employee? Where would they fall under there, right, for the company's duty to the employee?
All right, that's a pretty good one. I suppose that that's just more like labor laws, and it would be like a different type of a lawsuit. I don't know, employee, what are the, yes?
They do that to the equal employee.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so and we actually do talk about that in later chapters. But yeah, there's ways in which if you are an employee and you feel like you're being wronged by your employer in some way, then you can bring to the Equal Employment Act, kind of lawsuits and grievances, and have a dispute that way. So but that's kind of a different side of that. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
All right. All right. So remind me again of the 4 elements of negligence.
Duty, breach of duty, proximate cause, damage.
All right. So the next one is, we already saw duty, now we're going to see the breach of duty. What does that one mean?
Don't do your job.
Don't do your job. What else?
Not fulfilling your duty or doing it wrong.
Yeah, not fulfilling your duty, not kind of conforming with what is expected, right? So breach of duty is the failure to conform to the standard of care by law. So is that failure to not do what's minimum required by law, right? Hopefully when we are out there in the world, in our careers, we are going to go a little bit above and beyond of what is required by the law, to kind of keep, a high standard on how we operate our organizations. But again, the duty is just that you're not even doing the minimum that the law requires you to do, right? In terms of caring for other people that are under your responsibility. And then in order to determine if there was actually a breach of duty, there are 3 questions that you ask, right? The first question is, what are the types of risks? What are the types of risks? So going back to my football coach, 13 and 14-year athletes, before he or she decided that it was a good idea to send them to run 6 miles non-stop on a 110 degree, that's one of the questions. What are the type of risk of me doing that, or of her doing that, or he doing that, right? The second question that you ask is, what is reasonable care? So in that particular situation, what would be reasonable care? Maybe allowing them to rest every lap, and maybe allowing them to drink every lap. That type of idea, giving them some interval rest and hydration and that type of idea. That probably would have been reasonable risk in that case, right? And then the third question is, was the risk foreseeable? Was the risk foreseeable, right? So again, keeping up with the example, she or he could have seen that was not a good idea, right? Heat stroke and all that would have been something that should have been foresawn, right? you need to, or the courts, there will be those questions to know, to determine if the bridge was broken. Yes?
Can you repeat that first one?
The first one was, what are the types of risks? What are the types of risks? And some of the risks can be that inherent to the activity, non-inherent to the activity, high risk, low risk, frequent risks, the severity of the risk, so what are the types of risks that we're talking about? Everybody got the 3 questions that must be asked to determine whether the duty was breached. Everybody got those 3 questions? All right. You might need to remember those, remember that. All right, and that's all there is about the second element, right? Of the breach of duty is the failure to do, what is minimum standard required by law, and then you have to ask those 3 questions to determine whether the breach was broken. All right, so the third element, what is the third element of negligence? Proximate cause, causation, right? What do you think that would mean? And do you have a scenario? Can you say that a little bit louder?
What caused the problem?
Yeah, what caused the problem, right? And can you elaborate on that one, or?
Just something that happened, like why did someone drop the banana on the ground? Or why did someone pick it up? Or something so on it.
Yeah, it's kind of like how your actions actually were the direct cause of the end result, right? Pretty much that. That's called proximate cause causation. So, like if we go back to the example that we've been working on with the coach and the 3 kids, right? It was his decision, his action of making it run that 6 laps under those weather conditions that caused little Philip to have that stroke on lap number 4, right? Absent that decision of the coach, Philip would have been, jumping around in fresh like a kitten kind of idea. You see how I picture that one? I paint a picture for you guys to see. Anyway, so that's causation, right? There must be a reasonable close connection between the conduct and the resulting injury. So the conduct here is that decision of making these kids run these laps, right, under those weather conditions, right? And the resulting injury, like I've already mentioned, is the potential for that heat stroke, right? Approximate cause was the injury a reasonably foreseeable consequence of the defendant's conduct. Again, he or she could have foresaw that it wasn't a good idea to run that long without resting on that particular day. Is that one clear? Does that one make sense? The causation piece of the elements of negligence? All right. All right, and so what is the fourth element of negligence?
Damage.
Damage, right? Do tell me about it.
What happened? What are you suing for? What do you need recovered? Philip had a stroke, probably had medical bills.
Exactly. So is that injury? Is that loss of property, medical bills, loss of wages, that type of idea, right? So there must be some compensable bodily injury or emotional harm. So again, like you were mentioning, usually if you have an injury, that's going to translate into you having to go to the hospital or get some medical attention, which as a result you're going to get some bills for, right? It can also be that you are not able to go to your job and work, and so you're going to be losing wages, that type of thing, right? So if there is no damage, there is no liability. If you didn't have any related loss, any injury, anything like that, there's nothing. Again, it would be one of the elements missing. You wouldn't have liability, you wouldn't have a case, right? There would be no negligence really. I mean, like saying, oh, that could have made me break my neck, it's not really a damage because or that could have made me lose job, miss work for the next 6 weeks. It's not really, could have, should have, would have, it's not really an actual damage, right? there are, when we talk about damages also, we talk about like the compensation or what is awarded to a plaintiff, you know, in a lawsuit. So that's what the court called it, right? Like if I say, again, Philip was awarded $5,000 in damages, right? That means Philip was given or awarded by the court $5,000 in compensation for his injury, right? For that his stroke. Okay. So damages in this sense of the word. So once we take it to court, it means what you get, your compensation, right? Your amount, right? Everybody understand that part, right? Damages awarded. So there are two types of damages that are awarded. The first one is
That's you.
compensatory damages. And those are related to the actual damages, like you already pointed out. It's actually what you lost due to that injury, right? So if the medical bill was $15,000, and then you get $15,000, right, awarded to you, so that you can kind of be whole, if you will, right? It's kind of making you whole, if you will, right? Obviously, you can also get compensatory damages, not only for your medical bills, but also like I just mentioned, if you miss work for 6 weeks, then you're not gonna have wages for 6 weeks, then you get whatever that would have been also awarded to you. You can also get damages for emotional distress, physical pain, you know, and that's kind of at the discretion of the court, right, to award you damages for those intricate access, right, like mental or emotional distress, and that they decide how much that is worth, right, and that's compensatory damages. And then we have the punitive damages. What that punitive damages means, and do you have an example of what they look like?
So like a punishment or like, sort of to make them not do it again.
Yeah, it's a deterrence,
Yeah.
like sending a message, and that's exactly it. Everybody heard that, right? What Amy just said. Punitive damages is this tool that the court has to send a message to the defendant. Especially this is usually used in really gross negligence cases when the like the name implies, when the negligent act was so gross, you know, that says, okay, it was just borderline reckless, right? And this is not acceptable. So we're gonna send you a message that you better clean up your act from now on, right? And so what they do is that not only they award the plaintiff. By the way, I've been talking about plaintiff and defendants, and the plaintiff is the person doing what? Suing, right? And then the defendant is the person being sued. So what they do, what the court does, is that it awards the plaintiff not only what they are seeking for, but an extra amount, right? So you were looking for $15,000 in damages, because that's pretty much how much your medical bills were. But then the court says, you know what, in this case, because it was negligently gross, whatnot, I'm going to award you $25,000. Right? So $10,000 extra as punitive damages, sending that message to the defendant. It's not okay for you to do that. Usually awarded as much. All right. Don't do those transgressions again in the future. All right. So, how confident do you feel about this negligence?
I do have one question.
Yes, go ahead.
So on punitive, it's not just money every time, right? So like say they could, the coach did all that and he had to award him like $15,000 for his medical bills.
Uh-huh.
They could also take away like his coach's license under like a punitive charge, correct?
Yeah. It can be something like that. And again, it would be like up to the court. One thing that I didn't quite mention is that punitive damages are rare in bare negligence cases. So most of the time it is on cases where it's not only negligence, but it's also assault or battery, which is, I think, the topic for chapter 3. Right? But you're right, yeah. It can be more than just money.